Is globalization beneficial for the development of countries like India? Situation C. The group which has assembled for our discussion on the topic is globalization beneficial for the development of countries like India. Consists of five candidates, all of whom are competing for the same job, post or position. They are as such of the same level in terms of age, educational qualification. They are seated in a closed circle formation around a circular table in the sequence of their roll numbers, which they are displaying on their chest and back for easy identification and ready recognition. The advantage of such a seating arrangement is that each candidate can observe and hear all the other candidates in the room, there being no leader, speaker, or chairman for the group discussion. It is exercise within a leader. It is it is an exercise without a leader. The group member, if they so desire, can choose one amongst themselves as their informal leader to conduct and coordinate the discussion. The discussion is not a formal or official debate. It is only an informal discussion, resembling a casual chit chat among friends who may find themselves in a group at a given point of time in some place. There is no hard and fast rule, and the candidates are free to discuss the subject and express their ideas or views in any manner they like. The examiner enters the discussion room 5 minutes before the time fixed for the discussion. He introduces himself to the group members. He announces the topic for discussion and also explains its scope. He informs the group that the discussion is to be completed within 25 minutes. At this juncture, a few candidates raise some questions about the topic. He answers those questions and thereafter retires to the background, leaving the group alone for further action. How does it progress? As soon as the examiner leaves the room, after a momentary silence, candidates start talking with each other in an animated manner. The excitement level is high because of the relevance of the topic. Yet this discussion is hardly organized because so many people are speaking at the same time. Nobody is ready to listen to others. At this point of time, candidate A recognizes the fact that the time is slipping away, so he immediately raises his voice and says in a firm and assertive voice that it is time to begin and go ahead with the discussion. Other three candidates also realize the need of the hour and become serious. A. Full swing A. Thank you. Globalization has become an expression of common uses. Unfortunately or fortunately, it connotes different things to different people. To some, it presents a brave new world with no barriers. For others, it spells doom and destruction. In a broader sense, it can be said that the integration of world economies is globalization. Now, with this basic premise, we should start from the left side. Mr. E, if you don't mind, can Mr. B start the discussion? E, no problem, Mr. B, please. B, thank you, friends, for giving me the privilege to be the opening speaker of this group discussion. The topic is globalization beneficial for the development of the countries like India is very much relevant to the present scenario. We are living in the age of fast moving economy as explained by Mr. A. Broadly speaking, the term globalization means integration of economies and societies through cross-country flows of information, idea technologies, idea technologies, goods, services, capital, finance, and people. But the big question is that in an environment of growing globalization, what is there in store for developing countries like India? As the capital flows across countries have played an important role in enhancing the production base in 19th and 20th century. Capital mobility enables the total saving of the world to be distributed among countries which have the highest investment potential. Under these circumstances, growth of one country is not constrained by its own domestic savings. The, the inflow of foreign capital has played an important role in the recent period in the East Asian countries. We have lots of illuminating example of development before us. So let me say that globalization can provide many dividends to the developing countries like India, gaining losing. As on opener B has displayed a good temperament, he is eloquent. His views about the subject concerned are practical, but he is not a keen observer of economic trends. He has grasped the subject, but not in a full fledged manner. His argument is lopsided because he has looked at only one aspect instead of viewing the subject matter as a whole. He is not very balanced in his approach. Secondly, he has also failed to analyze and dwell on the topics as if he is reluctant to speak, so he is most likely to be rejected. Candidate C. Friends, as Mr. B rightly said that East Asian countries have benefited by the process of globalization, but he is not remembering properly what actually followed this development. The sudden crisis engulfed the whole East Asian region due to this globalization process. The volatility in foreign market in the case with which funds can be withdrawn from countries have often created panic situations. While there is no doubt that countries benefit by capital flows, we need to keep a watchful eye on foreign markets becomes essential. Along with this sudden withdrawal of investment, one more point I would like to highlight is the role of International Monetary Fund and other international financial bodies in this process of globalization. In the era of WTO rules and regulations, by the help of international bodies, the super economic powers can hit the prospect of developing countries badly. I must elaborate this point further to emphasize my view. In this in this new trading system, the purpose must be to ensure free and fair trade among all countries. The emphasis so far has been on free rather than fair trade. In this context, the rich countries use the rules and regulations for their own profit. Rich countries, while forcing the developing countries to abolish the barriers and join the mainstream of international trade, they have been raising significant tariff and non-tariff barriers on trade from developing countries. How far can we go with this kind of globalization? So I strongly recommend that globalization should not be the wheel on which the chariot of development is going to run, losing or gaining. Candidate C reveals the knack of making gains by exploiting the weak points of others in such a discussion. He starts with confidence and creates the curiosity by dismissing the view presented earlier. He shows the presentation skill by producing just one point and making it the most important. He analyzes the topic in the most appropriate manner and convinces the listeners of his viewpoint, though in the end he becomes a bit rigid. But because of possessing a good knowledge of subject and a good presentation skills, he will be most likely selected. Candidate D. Friends, I would like to start with historical background for globalization. Globalization is not a new phenomenon. Basically, it is as old as history, starting with the large intercontinental continental migration. Only recent developments in computer and communication technologies have accelerated the process of integration, with geographic distance becoming less or less of a factor. Now, borders have become porous and the sky is open. The revolution is the revolution in fields of information technology and communication has initiated a major shift in favor of the globalized economy. Globalization has made rapid growth during the last 15 years. The dismantling of the trade barriers bring the people of different countries nearer and starting up the era of relationship. With the advent of modern technologies which do not recognize geography and sociological patterns, it is, it is impossible to hold back idea either in the political, cultural, and economic sphere. Each country must prepare itself to meet the new challenges so that it is not bypassed by this huge wave of technological advancement and institutional changes. My friend has concluded just before me that the globalization is the region of many evils. I want to put forth a few points against this. Empirical evidence regarding the impact of globalization are still not very much clear. The share of the share of developing countries in aggregate world export and world output is increasing. The higher growth rates of the developing countries, both in terms of GDP and per capita GDP, have been higher than those of industrial countries. All the supporting data for this phenomenon don't indicate that developing countries as a group have suffered in the process of globalization. We should take it into account that even communist party like China is now opening its arms for profitable process. If we don't want to lag behind in reaping this extraordinary crop of foreign funds and benefits, we should make our whole efforts for making our country the most likely destination for all entrepreneurs of the world, losing or gaining. D has displayed a good grasp of the subject. He appears to be having extensive knowledge regarding economic trends of the world. By using economic jargon, he has created an impression of being a keen observer of the recent happenings in the world of finance and trade that shows his high level of general awareness. He also deals with the topic of the globalization in a clear and systematic manner. He has all the ingredients of making it to the list of shortlisted candidates for selection. Candidate number A. Friends, I have not studied economics. I do not understand the implications of the topic given to us for discussion. For me, it is quite confusing and uninteresting. Economics as a subject is not my cup of tea. After listening to your views, I can only say that there should be harmony between the new global forces and traditional values, losing or gaining. He is devoid of ideas as he avoids the subject by the only supporting others' views. He lacks, he lacks interest, enthusiasm, and creativity. In fact, he has created a negative perception about himself. His performance shows that he will be of no use for the particular post. He is rejected. Candidate number A. Friends, those of you who have spoken before me have sound knowledge of the facts and the content of globalization. I am very much pleased to presenting my views before such intelligent guys. Without wasting much time, I will come directly to the topic. The advocates of the globalization, more especially from developed countries, limit the definition of globalization to the only three components: capital flows, trade flows, and technology flows. They insist on they insist on other countries to accept their definitions and conduct the debate on globalization within parameters set by them, but they inadvertently forget fourth major component in their definition, that is labor. While there is free capital flows, free trade flows, and free technology flow, then what restrains them from making the flow of labor free? In a country like India, which has a large pool of human resources, there is an urgent need to free the labor from all constraints. Nowadays, we can see one more cunning weapon of capitalist mind, which is outsourcing. The business process outsourcing done by these big companies use the skilled manpower of our country as cyber police by providing minimum wage as compared to the manpower in their own countries. In the name of development, we are getting just a remaining part of the bread that has been left by them due to its pungent taste. In the process of globalization that goes hand in hand with liberalization, the most significant factor that has shown its devil nature is the impact of the domination of finance and the ability of financial agents to influence major political and economic decisions of government, as well as to reduce the bargaining power of others in society, especially the lower income groups. In countries like India, we are given reminders of power of finance or regular basics, regular basis through the decision of the state government. The very mobility of finance and the consequent fear of capital flight causes government to behave in undemocratic ways. We all know that the element of competition among the developing countries has altered domestic political in emerging markets in the several important ways. It has intensified and accelerated the neoliberal economic reform process, especially privatization of state assets. It has obfuscated and even eliminated discussion of the alternative strategies for alternative development. It has devalued and diluted the meaning of the democracy for many countries by focusing on success or failure in implementing new liberal economic reforms. as the main criterion for assessing political merit. It is not surprising, therefore, that a significant loss of political and civil liberties and less attention to social and human rights in many developing countries. Thus, we are in age of capital domination. If we surrender before them in the name of globalization, we will get nothing but slavery, losing or gaining. After listening carefully to others' views, A has assessed the strength of the candidates. The candidates who spoke before him have produced many pros and cons. So he has carefully selected the way on which he is going to march. He is clear in his mind and speaks with firm conviction. He is intelligent and can use his ideas to attain the chosen goal with his deep knowledge of economics. In fact, he is determined to present his views in an emphatic way. He does not appear to be satisfied with half-hearted measures taken by the international bodies in making globalization a advantageous process for developing countries. He is selected. Conclusion. Among all the candidates, A is the most tactful, intelligent, and knowledgeable candidate. He also has the leadership quality because he took the responsibility of initi- initiating the group task. B and E have failed to express themselves in the appropriate manner and have been rejected as a result. C and D have done reasonable well and secured a place for themselves in the list of successful candidates. The process of globalization for the time being is definitely irreversible, though our fellow countrymen may not be getting paid at par with their Western counterparts. It is much better than the situation that existed a few years back. Per capita income has gone up and foreign investment has generated employment in a big way, thereby giving a boost to the related sectors like education, etc. The old socialist song is no more melodious to the ears of today's youth. Globalization has brought competition among the domestic companies as well, and it is a win win situation for at least the consumers.